I have the honor this morning of introducing Tammy Haylock-Moore. She is the Executive Director with Chase Community Development Banking. JP Morgan Chase is a national leader in providing financial solutions that support the growth of affordable housing, workforce housing, and the revitalization of low and moderate income communities across the United States. Tammy joined Chase in 2007, and prior to Chase, she was part of the community development team at Bank of America and served as a senior underwriter for the Florida Housing Finance Corporation while employed at First Housing Development Corporation of Florida. Help me welcome Tammy.
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah. Good morning. It's great to see so many familiar faces in the room today. Our foundation, as well as community development banking, which is part of what I do, were the recipients of the $30 billion racial equity and inclusion implementation and initiative that the bank has been, talking about. I'm sure most of you in the room have heard of it. We were fortunate to be allocated on the community development lending side about $12 billion of that $30 billion. And part of that was for our development of one of the more crucial subjects, especially here in Florida, and that's workforce housing. Florida Housing's programs are generally centered around affordable housing, and that sector of the affordable housing arena where you have low-income housing tax credits, tax-exempt bonds, subsidies like SHIP, like home, like sale involved. But one of the greatest need here in Florida these days is workforce housing, where your household may be earning 80 to 120 or 160% of the AMI, and people think about that and they go, oh well, they're making a lot of money. Well, we all know that's not the case. Tampa's AMI today is what, 50-some $1,000. So you take a household of two new folks working in that market with 2 kids, and you can't afford to even get into a 1-bedroom these days. So what, we kind of focused on that in community development lending to figure out what we could do to help. And one of the things we did was to create a new segment of our group called the Equity Solutions Group. So what we committed to do is to look at true workforce housing, multifamily rental transactions, where for whatever reason, you're not going up to Florida Housing and applying, being one of 85 applicants for 10 deals, and you come to us and we will look at your deal if it's a true blue workforce housing transaction where you are committing to revitalizing an existing development or building brand new. And we will offer the same terms, discounted terms and conditions that we would for an affordable housing development, which is pretty significant when you look at today's the volatility in today's market. So that's one of the solutions that we're offering with the bank. Anyone can come and apply that has the level of experience that we're looking for. And of course, since we're part of the commercial bank, you will have to go through a rigorous underwriting, but we do have quite a few nonprofit organizations that are well established, that we're looking at a couple of their deals. And of course, some of our, for-profit partners are also involved in redeveloping communities that are in need here in Florida and throughout the country. So anyone that would like to pick up my card on the way out, I'll be more than happy to extend on, what we're trying to do to help that segment of the market. Any questions? Mitch and Cheryl? Cheryl first or Mitch? That's a good question. And the answer is, it doesn't matter. As long as your development is showing a significant discount to market, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at getting households in there that just can't afford market today. So if you come with a development that's showing 10, 15, 25% discounted to whatever that market rate is in the community, then we're not really concerned about, you making 60, 80, 120, 180% of the AMI. Now, we do want to see that you are committing in some form via Allura or some sort of restricted agreement with one of the municipalities or at the state level, so that we don't have to police you in the future, because we're not just offering construction debt. We are offering long-term perm debt under this program as well. And we do have some capital solutions to help you bring in, some of the equity that would be needed. The underwriting criteria is pretty similar. The piece that you're coming to us with is the equity piece. If you're not quite there on that equity piece, which generally is anywhere between 20 to 25% of your loan to value, then we have some funds that are being created that may be able to come in and help you bridge whatever your shortfall may be. And if for some reason you're not subjected to some sort of a restriction, then we would probably build something into our documents to keep that development affordable, at least for as long as we're in the deal. Mitch.
Thanks. I was going to ask, thank you. I was going to ask whether JPM's investments would be in the form of debt or equity. It's not always hard to find debt per se. The right partner is hard to find. Hard to find is equity that has lower return requirements, so that workforce housing performance actually. So speak a little bit more about JPM's investment on the equity side.
Well, the individual that will be heading that up or is heading that up is Lionel Rich with our team. And shoot me an email. I'll send you his information. What I've been doing since we established that group is having Zoom meetings with the developers that are interested. Right off the bat, he had 4 deals that they're in the process of looking at right now. And the one caveat is, I've seen some rejections, and unfortunately you have a lot of market rate developers coming into that market. But when you really look at the deal, it's not really a workforce housing deal. So those AMIs that Cheryl mentioned are going to be very important, and that market analysis that you're going to show us initially is very important as well. And, yep.
Morning, thank you. Hi, I'm Commissioner Kimberly Overman out of Hillsborough County, and I chair not only the board, but also our Affordable Housing Advisory Board. I am being asked to show up at MacDill Air Force Base on Tuesday because the housing voucher that their junior military receive is a housing voucher. It's what they have to pay for their housing, and it's supposed to be in line with, being able to afford to live somewhere. So we have a concrete number that these individuals have to go towards housing. It won't necessarily correlate to AMI at all. But is there, in the way JP Morgan is looking at a project, if we were to able to develop military housing, because I pray McDill isn't going anywhere anytime soon. These folks are required to come here because they have orders. And now they're living 3 counties north of us because they can't afford to live in Hillsborough County. And so I got to figure out what to tell the vice commander on Tuesday. So I'm trying to find creative ways when I have a clear decision by an employer that says, this is what you have for housing. It's oftentimes not the case for many workforce agencies or companies. They don't say, I'm going to pay you, this much an hour, and this much is 30% of it needs to go towards your housing cost. But in this particular case, there is a number, just as there is with housing vouchers with HUD and other entities. So when we're looking at that, when there is such a disconnect between rental property and home values in our region, are we able to really look at how we're structuring those deals based on the real wages in a community, if it's workforce oriented?
I think that's right where we're headed. And when it comes to the military housing, Chase is all over that. That's the veterans initiatives and assisting with housing. I think we'd be more than interested in looking at what is being structured and what your aims are, and trying to include the capital solutions part of it, and expanding a little bit on what Mitch had asked. What Chase has done is, I think a few other banks as well as gotten the equity part of it is not a Chase program, but we're investing in the fund so that those that are running with the fund can look at developments like this that are truly meaningful. You're talking about the VAST program? Yeah. I thought, and not knowing much about VAST, I thought that voucher was based on what the actual fair market rent is.
It does, but it doesn't happen in 6 months.
Right.
Percent increase this month, so think of it.
Then I would strongly recommend that they get something new. I mean, we're about 6 weeks behind because all the appraisers are really busy right now, updating all of their information. It's pretty crazy. I mean, overnight we've gone like 25% in Tampa Bay. I think I went over my time.
You're fine. Good information.